The last piece is the just voting information. So October 11th is the vote. It's from noon to 9. We're going to do it in our distance learning room, which is where we typically have our board meetings, not at the New Freedom Fire Hall. But when you walk in the door, you go to the left. We'll have plenty of signs for that. I'm just asking for folks to get out and vote. That's what we really need to know. That's where the voice comes for what people really want for the facilities. You can see the qualifications. My hope is that people get informed about the project. We put information in our mailed newsletter. We did our postcard that we sent out. We have the flyers that are over here that we'll put out at businesses for people to look at. And then we are going to continue to post kind of updates on our website for information. Like, for instance, I'm going to try to take this voice recording and put it over top of this presentation for folks that couldn't come, and we'll split that up into parts so people can see what that was. So,
just curious.
Yeah.
Do you have any present to vote, or do you like a proxy vote? I mean, can somebody live outside the district and vote? Like, do they have to be present to vote, or can they?
No, there's an absentee ballot that they can. Yep, they can call Shauna and request an absentee ballot. Yep. All right. Let me see if I can. I'll take a shot. See if we can get online. Yeah, it might not let me through. I'll give one more shot. Yep, it's not letting me on, which is okay. I mean, I think you can find it on the website from there if you want to see what that looks like. So, any other questions around the capital project?
So, if it unpasses and we come in, your bids go out and we come in over budget, what do we do?
So we'll look at it a couple ways. There's really two solutions to that. We go back and take a look at the project itself. Are there things that we can cut out that, to really trim down to get what's specifically needed that would get us to be able to move to maybe another project? Or we would actually have to go, if we say we can't get down below that cost, some school districts will go back out for a vote to be able to get, to see if folks want to increase to get to that rate. So, for instance, when we look at the bus garage or we look at any facility, there's always materials that we use. We could alter the materials. That's a real question, because do you want to decrease the quality of materials so you can complete the project versus make it last longer? So that would really be the discussion.
My thing is, if both propositions was passed, and all of a sudden we're over budget, is proposition B going to be automatically, if it was passed, is that automatically going to be chopped because the other part's a necessity? Because they can come back to it. I'm just looking about past years of what's happened, so
Yep.
That's where I'm coming from. So.
Well, I think the board will take a look at that and come up with a process of determining what the next step would be for that. We have a facilities committee that would probably say, okay, do we want to remove that second proposition? Or do we want to take a look at, basically we'd look at all our options. It's hard to know at this point what that would look like. A decision wouldn't have been made yet. I'm hoping we don't have to make that decision for sure.
We can do an alternates too, like.
Good point.
Good point. Finish cement all the way through it. And maybe in the office space you put in tiles and alternate bit. So you do some other things that'll decrease that cost anyway.
Yep. Yeah, because really it's after the bids is when we say, oh my gosh, now we got to do something. So to prevent that, if we create some choices to say, okay, here's the bare minimum to be able to have our cluster classroom up to code. Okay, so we do that. And then we say, okay, but to get to the point where we know that this is best for our kids, these are the alternates we would want. And then they would bid on that and we could then maybe not do alternate 4, but do 1, 2, 3. Good question. Other questions?
So I know it's obviously coming from construction.
Yeah.
A lot of the growth that I've seen in projects is aesthetics, not necessarily a necessity.
Mm-hmm.
Is that being mindful of the aesthetics versus the necessity?
So that's in the design process. These numbers are based upon acceptable engineering costs. Okay, so I think we know our community and get it functioning. We're good to go. Like I think I think that's fair to say. I think that's the way the board looks at it. That's the way I look at it. We're not doing a Taj Mahal for a bus garage. We're just getting the 3 bays and going from there. So
I just based that on being on the project that we put a tremendous amount of oak in our
years ago.
area.
Yes, years ago.
It
Yep.
was like you could have painted that steel.
Yeah.
So just to keep that in mind.
Absolutely. Yeah. Honestly, I've heard enough about that to know that's a big piece of what we don't want to do. So, yeah, that makes sense.
That's one of the reasons I got on board to avoid stuff.
Obviously, I can't get it on the internet right here, but I tried to Google the amount of people in Lewis County divided by 12 million. What did you come up with a statistic per person what this is going to cost?
Because it's really by property, this number that we use so it's really property taxes that build that up. So we wouldn't have divided it by the number of people per kid or anything like that. That number really came from the entire assessed value of the school district, of all the properties within the school district, just like we do for county taxes, and determine, kind of break that down to what that would cost per 1,000, and then we just flip that around to 100,000 to make it make sense. So we haven't looked at that in terms of population. County-wise, there's probably 25,000 people, but in our district, I can't say that I know the exact number of population of people in our district. But we have 900 kids. We've gone up 30 from last year. So, yeah. So the direct answer to the question is no. So,
What's the assessment going to go on?
per 100,000,
100,000.
if both propositions, it's $14 a 100,000.
So if you're not paying taxes, it's not really affecting you anyway. Property, school taxes. If you're not paying school taxes, it's not really affecting you anyway.
Right. But you pay school taxes, so yeah.
And how much is that from the state? Or how much percentage from the state?
To get to that 14, the state gives us, in that calculation, we calculated 80% of the 12 million gets given to us over the bond period. Right now we're at 82%. So that number's calculated with the aid plugged into the number. Can I go to sleep here? Well, that was actually it for the presentation. So if there are any more questions, I'm good. Anybody else have any more? Good questions. Good questions.
Fuel tanks coming out. Is there a contingency put in for bad soil?
It's a double line tank. It's tested actually we do a test, an alarm test weekly. Inspected by the ECI, but it is a double line tank, and the air surface inside of it is acceptable right now. It's passing all the time. So I don't foresee any contaminated soil. If you leave it in there, who can say it's not contaminated?
Yeah.
The tank warranty expires in 2022. That means there's probably no longer do anything for it. So,
That includes the ones up in the bus garage too.
they're above ground.
They're above ground.
They're above ground. The alternate would be if I had to run fuel oil, which we still have the capability to run fuel oil, but just bring a tractor trailer and pump it into the boiler right from the muscle. If I had to use fuel oil.
Portable fuel oil tank, really, what that is. Yep.